7 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock on Monday, November 3rd, 2025, and we will call this meeting of the Sault Ste. Marie City Commission to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Bosbus-Rath.
Here.
Commissioner Habusta.
Here.
Commissioner Marble.
Here.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Here.
Commissioner Talentino. Thank you.
Commissioner Talentino did call and say he may be late and may not be able to make it due to his work schedule, so we need a motion to excuse, please.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor of excusing Commissioner Talentino, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Mayor comments. Just have one comment. It was a wonderful day last Thursday for the harvesting of this Christmas tree for the Capitol from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Came from down on Minneapolis Street, and it was really great to see the Soo High Band there, the Soo High Palms, and LSSU Band as well. And a lot of the neighbors and friends from Sault Ste. Marie were there, and I know we had a lot of commissioners that were there as well. Special thanks to Linda Reed, who donated the tree in memory of her grandparents, Lawrence and Nettie Ritchie, who actually planted that tree in their yard on Minneapolis Street. Also, big thanks to Sioux CVB, Linda Hoth, pretty much coordinated the event itself, not the cutting part. Certainly, City of Sault Ste. Marie, from the manager's office, DPW, engineering, police, fire, it certainly took a all-out effort to make sure that everybody was safe and we could get the roads blocked off. Michigan Association of Timbermen and Justin Nepper, former DDA director, is the director of that association out of Newberry. Denny Olson from Great Lakes Timber Professionals, and the Michigan Department of Technology, Management, and Budget. And it certainly, I think we were all surprised, although it's happened, this is the third time we actually harvest the first one in 1987, they said, at the beginning of the program, and then one 9 years ago, and then this one. So, but you do forget all of the work that goes into the logistics. So, great job to everybody that was involved. It was really an exciting day and getting a lot of press. So, moving on into item B, which is proclamations and recognitions. Acting City Manager Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor. First item up, I'm going to hand off to Fire Chief Ed Miller. He's going to do some introductions of our new firefighter paramedics.
Good evening, Chief.
Thank you. It's my privilege and honor to introduce you to two of our newest employees for the city. First is Elizabeth Bednard. She started actually working with us May 19th of this year. And the most recent one is Logan McNabb. He started last week, Monday, just finished his 40-hour orientation and had his first shift on Saturday. So both are firefighter paramedics. Both are, well, Elizabeth graduated from Lake State in their EMS and fire program. She is actually from where I was previously from, and I think that she lived near one of the stations I used to work at, so hopefully it was my smiling face at one of our fire prevention things that drew her into this profession, right?
Yeah.
Sounds good. So she comes with experience. She actually got her EMT license in high school and so was very focused on getting this into this career. She did her internship with us, right? Fire internship. Did her EMS internship at Sterling Heights. So she has a decent amount of experience and has been a good asset to us. Logan comes from us from the state of Washington. He actually is still a student at Lake State. He's going to be graduating this year, right? Hopefully. And he has spent some wildland firefighting experience in the state of Washington. He was our intern last year. He spent a lot of extra time and he's shown a real interest in being here, so we're glad to have him as well. So I'd like to introduce him to all you today. Thank you. And I just would like to add that we're lucky to have Lake State in our backyard, that we can sort of cherry pick some great candidates for our department. And it's a great resource and a great opportunity for people to come and learn from. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on into item C, which is public comment. Is there anybody that would like to reserve any time for any of our scheduled agenda items this evening? Seeing none, we'll move into item D, which is the consent agenda. Deputy City Clerk Erica Gordon.
Thank you. Item 1 on the consent agenda is the approval of City Commission meeting minutes of October 20th, 2025. Item 2 is the acceptance of Airport Advisory Board meeting minutes of September 11th, 2025. Item 3, acceptance of the Economic Development Corporation, Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, and Tax Increment Finance Authority 3 meeting minutes of September 9th, 2025. Item 4, acceptance of the Historical Development Commission meeting minutes of May 6th, July 15th, August 19th, and September 16th, 2025. Item 5, acceptance of the Local Officers Compensation Commission meeting minutes of October 22nd, 2025. Item 6 is acceptance of the Planning Commission meeting minutes of June 12th and August 14th, 2025. Item 7, acceptance of Sault Ste. Marie Housing Commission meeting minutes of September 18th, 2025. Item 8, acceptance of the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting minutes of June 19th, September 18th, and October 16th, 2025. Item 9, confirmation of mayoral appointment of Katie Wilcox to the Downtown Development Authority. Item 10, reappointment of Bonnie Peters to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Item 11, reappointment of Jordan Chisholm to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Item 12, reappointment of Rick Miller to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Item 13, consideration of DNR Snowmobile Grant Award acceptance. Item 14, consideration of Bureau Justice Assistance body-worn camera grant application. Item 15 is consideration of an emergency server technology service agreement with Chippewa County. Item 16, consideration of public utility easement from Cloverland Electric Cooperative to the city for the CWSRF fiscal year 2025 project. Item 17, approval of consent agenda items as presented.
Thank you very much, Deputy City Clerk. Would any commissioner like any of these items removed for individual consideration or have any of them further explained? Seeing none, Commissioner Bauer.
So moved, we approve tonight's consent agenda.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Moving on into E, special orders of business. Acting City Manager Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Item E1 is a public hearing to consider a request submitted by Trevor McGrory to vacate the full width of the alley within Block 7, McNewton's Addition Number 2, without retention of utility easements, and Community Development Director Kelly Freeman is going to present on this item.
Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. So this particular alley is located in the block that's at the northeast corner of Seymour and 3 Mile Road, so all the way down on the city limits. The plat was recorded, I believe, sometime in the late 1800s, but this particular alley has been unimproved for traffic the entire time. Looking at the actual lay of the land, there's 2 steep ravines that go through it. So unless we're into bridge building, there's never going to be any traffic that's able to go from one end to the other. The applicant lives on this block and has requested that the city vacate it. In the notification process to the neighbors and utilities, there's been no comment from the neighbors and no issues with the utilities. There's nothing in it right now. The Planning Commission considered his request on October 9th and recommended unanimously that it be vacated without the retention of utility easements. Mr. McCrory is here if there's any questions of him. There's an aerial, I believe it's the first page of attachment 1 in your packet, but otherwise that concludes my remarks. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you very much. Acting City Manager, any comments or Going to the commission.
Go to the commission, thank you.
All right, commissioners, anybody have any questions, comments on this item? Can we get a motion for approval? Commissioner Marble.
Motion to adopt the included resolution vacating the full width of the east-west alley within Block 7, McGotten's Addition, number 2, without the retention of utility easements.
Support.
Motion and support, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Under E, special orders of business, number 2, acting city manager Troy.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 2 is public hearing on single lot assessment roll SL-2W-25 and special assessment roll, and incoming finance director Callie Perrin will present on this request.
Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening. So in front of you tonight is the single lot special assessment roll for water, and then just the special assessments that were billed in April each year. So these water bills have been outstanding for at least 6 months, and the special assessments bills were billed in April, and they're still outstanding as of today. With this approval, it will roll these onto the winter tax bills that will come out December 1st, and they'll be paid when the taxes are paid. So if anybody has any questions, the lists are attached.
Thank you, Kelly. So we will hold a public hearing on single lot assessment roll SL-2W-25 and special assessment roll. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments at this time? Special hearing for the single lot assessments. Seeing no comments, we will close the public hearing for the single lot assessments and go to city commission. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Habusta, would you like to make a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to confirm single lot roll SL 2W25 and special assessment roll.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. E, special orders of business, number 3. Acting City Manager Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 3 is from the Local Officers Compensation Commission. It's pay structure for the mayor and the city commissioners. The Local Officers Compensation Commission met on October 22nd, recommended an increase for mayor and city commission as it relates to their salaries. The increase annually for mayor would be $575, and for commission, $216. The pay structure would still be per meeting with the city clerk maintaining attendance records. So there is no action required from the commission. The decision will automatically take effect unless it's rejected by 2/3 vote of the commission via resolution. So no action is required on this item.
Thank you, Acting City Manager. Any questions, comments from the commission? Commissioner Bauer.
Yeah, I would like to point out, as we read here, that we have rejected increases in 2009, 2013, 2015, 2017, 19, 21, and 23. I would like to continue that by rejecting this proposed compensation change and keeping our salaries as they are.
Assuming that's a motion?
That is the motion,
Is there
yes.
support for that motion?
Support.
So motion and support. Any other discussion? Could we get a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Basvis Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Habusta,
No.
Commissioner Marble,
No.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
No.
Was it for?
We needed 2/3 votes.
Yeah,
so
we
that
needed
did not
5
pass.
because, so it did not pass, so. All right.
And Tim Talentino did not matter.
Correct. So we'll move on into item F, which is communications. First one is from Commissioner Rubenstein. So Commissioner Rubenstein.
Thank you. So I wanted to bring this back up after the last meeting as it related to the downtown overnight, or the city overnight parking in the wintertime. I think citywide, we switched it from midnight to 7 a.m. It was brought to our attention that there was multiple areas where businesses are open at 6 a.m. or open until 2 a.m. So on the map provided, it shows those areas that were kind of said, hey, we're just going to agree not to ticket here. I do think after talking to some people and reviewing it further that the signage should reflect what the policy is. So I would suggest those areas marked in green revert back to 3 to 6, and then everywhere else stay at the midnight to 7. I just think it makes it more confusing if we have a policy that says one thing, a signage that says another thing, unless somebody's paying attention or here or one of the 50 people who are watching. They're not going to know, and people who are coming in from out of town, I-500 is a great example. They're not going to know, and they're going to follow the signs. So that's what I would like to see, but I'd be interested to see what the rest of the commission feels.
Thanks, Commissioner. Acting City Manager, do you have any comments or thoughts? Or just open to the
No,
commission?
I'd open it to the commission. Just as a note, if it is to go back, it'll have to start the process over, so it'll be first reading at the November 17th meeting, the second reading at December 1st, republication, recodification of the ordinance, and the overnight parking ban would take effect December 1st, so time is not on our side to go through the process.
Thank you. Any discussion from the commission? Commissioner Habusta.
Just a follow-up question on that last bit. Is the previous ordinance still in effect in that case?
The ordinance that the commission approved at the last meeting is the ordinance that is in effect.
Still in effect, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I support Commissioner Rubenstein's plan on this.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Do you want to make a motion, Commissioner Rubenstein?
Motion to revert the areas on the map highlighted in green back to 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. With everything else remaining midnight to 7 a.m.
Support.
Does that motion fulfill the requirements for?
No, we'll have to bring it back.
Right.
We'll bring it back for a first reading at the next
Okay.
meeting, so.
Yep.
But if that's the commission's wish, then we'll start the process to revert that back.
All right, so we have motion and support. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion did pass unanimously. Thank you. Also on F, communications, number 2 is from Commissioner Rubenstein, discussion on funding downtown sidewalk snow removal. So Commissioner Rubenstein.
Thank you, and thankfully it has not started snowing yet. Full disclosure on this, my wife and I do own 2 properties downtown, and we do pay into the current sidewalk plowing system, which is a steal of a deal. If you'd ask me, it's to the tune of less than $250 for us for 2 properties. So just full disclosure on that before we go into the discussion here. I mentioned it at a previous meeting. It's just kind of a weird system, whether you opt in, opt out, or just ignore it altogether. Your sidewalk still ends up getting plowed. We've had discussions around this before where contractors have said they don't want to pick up their plow for people that don't opt in, so it ends up getting done anyways. I understand that we have to be cognizant of the general fund, our fund balance, the DDA, looking to renew the TIF. I think we also got to look at from an administrative standpoint. I don't feel like it is the best use of time for the DDA board or a DDA director to go to 100+ properties to try and convince them, despite how good of a deal it is, to try to convince them, hey, you should join in on this. I think as of this afternoon, and Robin, correct me if I'm wrong, it's at 33% that have opted in. So we could still reach out to them, but the deadline's already passed. I think the goal was to get up to 60%. the city ends up picking up the deficit from the DDA side anyways. With the dissolution of the Headwaters North agreement, there's additional funding there as well. And I just think at this point, the city should just pick up the bill. We already know there's likely going to be some deficit that they're picking up anyways. And, in absence of a better system, I think that's the direction we should move.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any discussion?
I think it's definitely needed discussion. I think, we need to examine the system. I think this gets us through this year and provides us an opportunity to look in future years at other funding mechanisms to fund this. My only concern is just making sure there's money for hiring a TIP planner as we look at possibly renewing those TIFs. Then I think we need to make sure that we have the money that's needed to properly plan for that TIF renewal. But I definitely support this.
Thanks, Commissioner. And Commissioner Bauer.
As a property owner, should I abstain from any discussion or vote on this matter?
Commissioner Rubenstein is not, so maybe just the disclosure that you would benefit from this if we were to.
I mean,
Still, though,
it's no different than water bills. We vote on it, we're impacted by it, our water rates.
I don't feel right voting in favor of the, if I were in your chair or in your chair, I don't have a problem with this. But I personally don't feel like I should be voting in favor of something that I personally benefit from. So, for what it's worth.
Okay. Commissioner Marvel, you have comments, or?
No, I just agree with Commissioner Bauer.
Okay. I guess I would have a question. Has anybody spoken to Ray Bell or the DDA board about this? And is this something that they're asking for, or I'm just worried about the, if they have to do TIF planning and also the money for hiring of a director, so. Mr. Rubenstein.
I talked to Ray Bell this morning, and I think that's certainly, like Commissioner Herbusta brought up, something to think about. But he's aware that this was going to be discussed. And then I guess my next question is, if something is voted on, if Commissioner Bauer is abstaining from that, I brought it on the agenda. I'm not sure where to fall on that.
Yeah, if we follow that logic, you'd both have to abstain.
It's negligible. It's less than $250 for the entire season. But I guess I can if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like,
To be clear, once I believed as part of this discussion that I would be voting on this, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was just explaining that I cannot personally support this, you know what I mean? Like I would, as I would mention in any other case. Like, once I was told, yes, you're gonna vote on this, you know what I mean? So that's why I felt that I could mention that and discuss this, because I was told I'm part of this discussion. You get me?
well, I think, Mr. Habusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to refer this back to administration to examine funding alternatives for the downtown sidewalk plowing.
Support.
Motion and support that we refer it back to administration. And I'm assuming the two of you then will abstain and we'll have a clearer answer for the next meeting.
I would be fine with that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So passed on a 4-0 vote. All right, so under F, communications, we'll move on to number 3, acting city manager Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Up next is from Cloverland Electric Cooperative. It's a presentation and discussion of proposed purchase and development agreements. And Mike Heiss, President and CEO of Cloverland, is going to present on this.
Good evening, Mike.
Time when we had presented this in front of you. So I'm kind of here today, I guess, to redirect or maybe have you consider a little bit differently than what happened or what was presented or, discussed, I should say, last time. I listened in, so I heard everything that went on, so I just wanted to come today and say, we kind of have a couple different initiatives, working with the previous city manager. I guess our thoughts or expectations of where we were wasn't quite where we're at. I appreciate the interim city manager's help. We've done quite a bit in the last 30 days to get from where we thought we were to where we kind of are today. And that's kind of why I'm here today. Is I know last month when it was discussed, one of the things is kind of a combination of some of the things we're looking at. And I guess what I'd like to ask for consideration today is kind of splitting things into, and as the interim mentioned, maybe the best way to do it's through a development agreement. So we kind of looked at now presenting 2 different packages. One would be the essentially acquiring the 4 parcels that hopefully you read in our magazine about the training center that we're looking at here. Those 4 parcels are essentially for that concept, which we talked about quite a long time ago. On moving forward, it was our understanding that everything was ready to go, and I know the interim was saying that we probably should really go more formal and present it that way. So I guess what I'm hoping we can accomplish today is we'd really like to get those 4 parcels. And the reason we need those 4 parcels initially is to really look at new market. We're hoping to get some new market tax credits. The government's shut down right now, so those aren't really moving forward yet, so we have a little bit of time. But ultimately, we're hoping to acquire those because that could interject pretty significant funding into the project, which would be very beneficial for Cloverland and its members. So first and foremost, that's kind of what we're hoping with the purchase agreement is to kind of clean up where we thought we were and move us forward. Because we do have to develop, we're working with a new market tax credit consultant right now, which can be pricey if we don't move this forward. Because if we move it forward, his fees get buried into the project. If we don't, I got to pay him. And so ultimately, our goal really is to look at these 4 parcels, move them forward. We've already done a phase 1 and phase 2 analysis for the property. We're also working with SIDUC because the previous city manager had just basically stated that we could just get them on a quick claim deed. But we felt it was probably better to do a survey, so we've been working with SIDUC to get the survey done. So I think we're in a very good position to move that forward. And again, the reason we need those 4 parcels is, again, to get out there in the new market tax credit world so we can get the design started. We've already got a design engineer on board, but I really don't feel right about hiring somebody if I don't have a place to put things. And 2, we have to create a special purpose entity, if you will, to lock it all together. So we're very interested in moving this forward, but essentially understanding that last month it was kind of a concern of, with the government being shut down and some funding that may be required, that we pause until the smart zone kind of next concept I talk about can be completed. So I guess what I was hoping today is look at 2 different pieces. One would be first and foremost getting those 4 parcels so that we can move forward with the development of the training center. But in conversations we had with the previous city manager, some of the concepts we had was, well, once we could do that, that would be a great development for Sault Ste. Marie. But understanding that the smart zone hasn't really been utilized to its full potential, Cloverland has a lot of issues here from a growth perspective. We've been very fortunate over the last few years to grow, but I can't grow anymore, meaning that it's just very difficult for me to find the space. It would make a great campus for Cloverland if we could look at the broader picture and work with the city and say, could we somehow work out some sort of structure in a development agreement to bring Smart Zone over to Cloverland and ultimately clean up. One of the things we have to discuss as well too is, Cloverland owns the building that the police department resides in, and we lease it back. So in previous discussions we had with the city manager was this could work out for everybody's advantage. One, first and foremost, to build the building, but then two, to look at a longer term play, which would be, bringing that in. And that's why the interim city manager's suggestion was, let's look at a development agreement and let's look at then the purchase. Maybe it's two separate entities right now, because understanding who knows how long the government's going to be shut down. But I'd really love to get an engineer started to lay out the foundation for that, because then once the allocation of new market tax credits are put in, we could have them as early as first quarter of next year.
Thank you, Mike. Acting City Manager Troyer.
No, Mike pretty much covered everything. So in order to move the process forward, the commission would have to waive the public bid requirement per the land sale policy. So that would be the first motion. And the second would be motion to authorize me to execute the purchase agreement and the development agreement with Cloverland Electric contingent upon final legal and administrative review. I received these late last Wednesday, so legal hasn't had an opportunity to review. So legal and administrative review, provided that such revisions do not alter the intent of the agreements. And in the packet, I kind of pointed out some of the key points of the purchase and development agreement. So the 4 parcels that are being referenced was previously negotiated at $10,000, each parcel totaling $40,000. It also, one of the parcels, there's a map within your packet that shows the Parks and Recreation building is located on one of those parcels. We talked about carving that out or leasing it back, so that is something that we're gonna have to work through. If the Parks and Rec department is gonna have to be relocated, that will be a financial impact to the city to find a new home for them. Development must commence within 24 months of execution of the agreement. First right of refusal on the Smart Zone building, and a reciprocal first right of refusal on the police department building. So those were kind of the key points of the purchase agreement and the development agreement.
Thank you, Acting City Manager. Let's go to the commission for questions. Any questions? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Can you just talk a little bit more about the prospect for the Parks and Rec building? So it's worded a little funky, so it sounds like it would not be excluded, correct? We would have to look at a different option?
So we've had some conversations. We were looking at carving it out of the parcel, but it sounds like the latest that I had on
If I may.
Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, great question. With the previous city manager, when him and I were kind of looking through this, his view back then was when we would do the swap, if you will, of the 2 buildings, and the city would basically take over the police department. There's a warehouse building that Cloverland uses right next to the police department. His view was some of the items that are in there could be moved over there, but ultimately we could create a lease structure back that, my only concern is if we now have to work to carve that out, that could take some time to figure out how the carve out is. So it wouldn't impact what we're looking at, so we would be, we'd work with the city to figure out some sort of lease back structure until such time that the city would figure out what they want to do. So that we would be in no rush. That doesn't, where it's located isn't impacting either kind of concept that I'm looking at. It's just for long-term, whatever the city would want. But his view previously was, yeah, once you would take over the police department, there's that warehouse building right next to it, that a lot of what's in that building could go there. So just over time, we could figure out a structure. But do a dollar lease if we have to. We could gladly work with you to figure that out.
Okay, thank you. That $400,000 and $500,000 number was just a little eye-popping at first, so thank you.
Nothing's cheap.
Any other questions? Commissioner Habusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly value this project. I think it has some amazing potential, and I definitely understand the urgency. However, I do feel like some of this is a little rushed. Has this gone before the TIF 3 board?
I don't believe it has. I know working with the previous city manager, his comment to me was it didn't need to, it's city-owned property. So it was my understanding, because he already, as the interim manager mentioned, right, he already gave me the quick claim deed and said we could sign that at any point. It wasn't a necessity to go through them. So it was my understanding it didn't have to be, but I'm not an expert in that area.
Thank you. And then my other aspect, my other concern is, you know, having only had 2 days for administration to really evaluate this development agreement. Clearly, it's not coming to us with the recommendations, coming to us to approve, and then they'll adjust it from there, I guess. That to me is kind of concerning. I'd love to know, you know, thoughts on how this fits our community development plan. I'd love to know how this, you know, financially, when we talk about, you know, buildings and things like that, there's clearly an impact to that as well. Again, I think this is a great project. I'm just a little concerned about the expedited process on this at this point.
Sure, if I may. I guess I guess my response would be, we were here back in January of, I think, 2024 to present this. So it's not the first time this has been there. And again, I'm trying to say that we were in the understanding that it was a different spot than what it was until we found out it was different. So again, all I'm trying to get to is I have a pretty significant commitment if I don't move forward with something soon. Fortunately, again, with the government being shut down, the tax credits won't be an issue for a little bit, but it is something that we, again, did want to bring back to say, at least if we can understand that if we need to take time on the development agreement, if that's what has to happen, that's fine. But as long as we can get those 4 parcels, it gives me a home, if you will, to build it. And so I appreciate your concern, but, you know, it's been one of those where I thought we were in a different spot, and we're just trying to kind of bring it back to where I thought we were well over a year ago.
Thank you.
It should be noted, too, that we've been trying to sell those lots for development for, how many years, 10? We actually had them listed with a realtor, local realtor, for a long time, and, you know, we've had a couple of them that have sold and have developed, but we still have been trying to sell them, so the EDC was trying to facilitate that for a long time. Commissioner Bassas-Rath.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you just talk a little bit about what the regional training facility will bring?
Sure.
Thank you.
So I mean, in our overall view, you know, safety is key or paramount for our employees. So kind of where this came from is my original thought was, well, if we could create an environment that's indoor, understanding where we're at, we can provide a good solid base for even if it was just for Cloverland would be great. But when you look to the future, there is such a need for linemen to get recertified. I just think I don't want to use the Field of Dreams approach, but I think when you look at where there's many steps, it's almost overwhelming at certain days that when I sit there and think about, you know, having a pizza or a beer within town here, I come up with a lot of ideas. And the thing is the first step was really look at linemen having ability to refresh. We've talked to the Village of Newberry, Marquette, Escanaba. There's so many folks out there that don't have a source to point, bringing a lineman in for their annual requirements to keep their journeyman certification. When we had Representative Fairbairn here, he made it clear that he was very supportive of it, because he also sees one of the other concepts we have is to look at the possibility of broadband, right? I mean, there's a mad rush to put it in out there, but who's going to take care of it afterwards? And when you start looking at that's a great opportunity, but who's going to provide that training? We've already had discussions with a firm down in southern part of Michigan that actually is working on a Department of Labor program that we could bring up here to now say, okay, now let's start training that next generation of broadband as well too. So there's a whole host of things we could look at. We've met with LSSU. I'm meeting with Bay Mills this week. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to create certification programs. What I'd love to see is, and we've talked to LSSU, is integrating renewable energy into like a bachelor's of science at the university as well too. So, you know, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to our college up here, but my comment to the new CEO as well, if I can get an engineering degree any college in America, why would I come here? And so if we don't start thinking outside the box a little bit and saying, all right, the reason I come here is because I'm not just going to get a BSEE like what I have. I can now get it in renewable energy, and guess what? We have a huge opportunity here. We've got our hydro plant. We've dabbled. We've got a couple small solar farms within the area. We could look at landfill gas. So I think there's a lot of things we could look with the Bay Mills Tribe, a partnership with them. The grant that they got includes a battery. So, you know, we're looking at AI modeling of projecting our future. I mean, there's a lot of things I think that are very powerful that can come here that not a lot of utilities are looking at. So again, I mean, when you start talking to people, when you're out in the streets, they're like, how about a CDL program? Do you think you could do that there? And so I think once you have that frame or that network, then I think we have a great partnership up here between LSSU, the Bay Mills Tribe, Cretin is, where's the right fit for it? So I think it can be pretty exhausting for me some days because you start thinking about all the great things that could come from it. But first and foremost, that layer was looking at our linemen, looking at that program, and how we can grow it. And we've had really good feedback from industry partners saying, you know, we would love to participate somehow in that as well too, so.
Thank you for that. You actually answered that perfectly for what I was looking for, because you instantly got excited about all the different opportunities, and I think it is a great opportunity and something that this area is missing for them to do the lineman, get certified, work with the different partners. So thank you very much for that.
And when I had discussions with our representative, right, I mean, he looked at it as, is this not a good thing? So now if it's not just a Cloverland issue, but now we're bringing other folks from other parts of the state, they're gonna be in our hotels, they're gonna be visiting our restaurants. So if we can create something that's different, you know, it just brings value to the city in different means as well too, so.
Commissioner Rubenstein.
Is there any impact with the airport being right there, like with the heights of the buildings or anything, or is?
No, I mean, we would be looking at about the same elevation as Smart Zone, probably maybe
Okay.
a little bit taller than that, but nothing. Some of the things I had considered, I'll have to think through, like in the initial sketches, we were kind of maybe looking at a small community solar there, so we could adapt like a local community solar here in town that could go there. That could be an issue with glare, but I know some airports are putting solar next to it, so it's not bad, but yeah, so we'll still have to figure that piece out. But as far as the building height, then nothing that would impact the operation of the airport.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner Bross's-Wrath.
I'd like to make the motion to waive the public bid requirements per the city's land sale policy.
Support.
Motion and support. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passed on a 5-1 vote. Commissioner Bross's-Wrath.
Motion to authorize the acting city manager to execute the purchasing agreement and development agreement with Cloverland Electric contingent upon final legal and administrative review, providing that such revisions did not alter the intent of the agreements.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passed on a 5-1 vote. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate your patience, and it's a great development.
Appreciate
We're
it.
excited
Like
for
I
it.
said, it's been very good working with Robin's been great, so thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Excited for the future. Under F, communications is from Matt Wilkes. So, Mr. Wilkes, if you'd like to come up. Thank you. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, sorry, I'm gonna get a little bit organized here. Okay, Matt Wilkes, appreciate you having me again. I think you probably know the subject I'm gonna talk to you about, so you're not gonna be surprised. Having read the opinion that was released by this commission 2 weeks ago, I was quite surprised and noticed that there was no mention of the city charter in that opinion, nor any attempts to reconcile any state statutes or other DDA bylaws, for example, with that statute, both of which are perfectly valid and part of the conversation that should occur in a legal opinion. The city's opinion relies solely on the definition in the DDA statute and a faulty assumption that a person gets to make the choice for who is the chief executive officer. That choice was made when the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie approved the current charter. So I contacted Mark Clark. He's an attorney from Traverse Legal who has 20-plus years of experience in municipal law and has represented numerous smaller cities in Michigan, sat where the city attorney here used to sit for a lot of places. And I would ask that that opinion be entered into the record, if that's possible. I did not get a chance to forward it ahead of time.
You can certainly share it with the commission, yeah.
Okay. So I can email it as well. It'll be a complete, it's a complete opinion, so you're welcome to have it.
Sure.
I'm going to read just a couple parts of that opinion just so you understand really where he is coming from. He talks about city charter, which I talked about last time. It says the mayor's role is expressly ceremonial and legislative unless a statute or the commission specifically confers additional powers out of the charter, section 4.5. Because the city manager is the highest ranking executive official under the charter, that person qualifies as CEO and under the definition in section 201H, which was the definition that your city attorney relied on. The DDA Act in section 201H does not convey any express authority and identifies who may qualify as a chief executive officer, but it does not and cannot override the city charter, which identifies the city manager as the chief executive officer of the city. There's no case law that has interpreted this statute. However, Michigan courts favor interpretations that harmonize a state statute with a local charter wherever possible. And he references a case in here from Detroit. And I'm sure there are others, where the Supreme Court harmonized the Detroit charter with the state statute to give effect to both. So the definition, as your opinion pointed out, identifies two possible executive officials, the mayor or the city manager, but it does not require both to qualify. This is an express recognition of the diversity of the different forms of city government that we have in the state of Michigan. It says to interpret the statute as authorizing the mayor to act as CEO regardless of the charter would create a conflict between state law and the city charter. Courts avoid those interpretations unless the state legislature has expressly said that they want that conflict to exist in the laws. And the flexible language of that definition allows for harmonization by deferring to the charter for the designation of the executive. And it's clearly supported by principles underlying Michigan's Home Rule City Act, which grants municipalities broad authority and autonomy to structure governments through local charters. And there's more in here. I'm not going to bore you with it, but I think it will be an interesting read for your attorney. So in summary, the crux of his opinion is really twofold. It's first, the choice of city manager or the mayor in the DDA statute is not a choice for a person to make. It's a selection made by the city charter. And second, courts in Michigan will harmonize the statute and not allow conflict between the laws. And selecting the mayor as the CEO of the city puts the statute clearly in conflict with the city charter, and selecting the city manager does not. Lastly, the 1980 DDA bylaws that I think my wife received on Friday, finally the full and complete bylaws in Article 2, Sections 2 and 5 have separate and distinct duties for the mayor and the chief executive officer, as those words are used in the DDA bylaws, regarding appointments, implying that they are distinct and separate roles as outlined by the city charter. And I asked that the DDA bylaws from 1980 and the 2016 rules of procedure are in the record. I think you have them already, but I just want to make sure they get in for this meeting. The DDA bylaws of 1980 specify when and how the mayor can make appointments to the DDA board. They are for resignation, death, or removal of a DDA member and must occur within 30 days. Removal must be approved by the city commission prior to the mayor appointing a replacement, and all other appointments are the purview of the city manager. In summary, the city's legal opinion failed to address or harmonize any language, laws, or DDA bylaws beyond the simple definition in the DDA statute and should not be relied upon. Okay, moving on. I think that addresses that enough. I also have a letter that I want to put into the record, and I'll email this as well to the DDA board that'll be sent tonight. It's outlining the procedural violations of both the October the 8th and 9th meetings with a request for the DDA board to rectify them at their next regular meeting. This involves a process of voiding prior votes and finding a path forward, including a full, fair, and complete examination by the DDA board of the procedural issues that led to the October 9th DDA meeting and results. This would include potential conflicts of interest and recusal discussions, as well as the actual videos that exist in participant examinations. To be clear, I make no comment tonight regarding the outcome of the DDA meetings, but the outcome must come from a legal and valid meeting process that can stand up to scrutiny. And I'm going to read the letter to you, so you have that. It says, I'm writing to notify you of irregularities in the meetings of October 8th and 9th. Please consider this as a formal notice pursuant to MCL 15270 of the Open Meetings Act to provide the board the opportunity to address and cure the identified violations prior to seeking judicial relief to avoid actions taken at an unlawful meeting. The October 8th meeting, there was improper board composition. Mayor Gary was not allowed to be seated on the board since he was not designated by the city manager in advance. I am not entirely sure on the 2 and 3 in this letter because I don't really know if Craig Cooper resigned the chair or not. I have no clue. I've heard, I don't really know, but if he did that prior to the October 8th meeting, there was no motion to accept the resignation and no motion to transfer the chair. On the October 9th special meeting, improper board composition again, as I explained earlier. No motion to transfer the chair from Craig Cooper to Ray Bell for the meeting. The agenda, section 5.2 of the 2016 DDA procedures says the agenda must be prepared by the executive director in collaboration with the chairman. To my knowledge, the agenda was not prepared by the executive director in collaboration with the unknown chairman. And my question on that now is, who prepared the agenda? Because I don't think the former executive director did, and we don't really know who the chairman is, so somebody prepared that agenda. And I think I kind of know because I looked at the language on the agenda, and it's like a 4-sentence language, and that tells me an attorney helped prepare that because it's way too long for an agenda at any kind of a meeting that I've seen. I not 100% sure of this, but I don't know that the meeting was called by the chairman, the executive director, or 3 board members. That's required for section 3.3 of the 2016 DDA procedures. If it was called by 3 separate board members, I think it would be in everybody's interest to produce the electronic metadata that shows the creation date and timestamps of those signatures from those board members so that the meeting was called properly. I don't believe that the agenda was published on the city website 18 hours prior to the meeting. I'm not, again, 100% sure of that, but I think that would be helpful to know. There was no examination by the board of potential conflicts of interest or recusal of board members involved in each of the relevant performance issues identified at the meeting, and there were 3 of them. Having watched and listened to the videos, there was the Ken Hopper, John DeRue video conversation, which exists in video. There was the Linda Hoth, John DeRue conversation, and there was the Don Gary statements regarding the Headwaters and John DeRue relationships. So with regard to the, I think I might have had one more. I might have missed it. Sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. I missed one. The last one is possible round-the-horn canvassing of board members' votes prior to the meeting, supported by quotes of board members to news organizations. That was in an article that I read from the Sioux Leader. So please also consider this a formal request to cure the procedural and statutory defects noted above. If the matters are not corrected at or before the next regular board meeting scheduled for November 12th, remedies may be pursued, including invalidation of the actions taken under the Michigan Open Meetings Act. And I wanted to just real quick tell you that this opinion is not just sort of it contains more than just what I've talked about. It also contains potential remedies that can be pursued both on my part and on your part. There are ways to get through this, but we have to get through this in a manner that's going to stand up. And moving on to, I think, some of the Headwater stuff, this is a little bit more worrisome for me. In a letter on the 24th, Headwaters withdrew its collaboration from the DDA.
With all due respect, are you getting close to the end?
I'm 2 minutes away,
All
Don.
right.
I apologize.
Thanks, Matt.
I thought 10 would be more than enough. I'm sorry. Thank you. The timing announcement is interesting since there were questions at the DDA meeting regarding the scope and structure of the collaboration in exchange for the monthly fees charged to the DDA by Headwaters. It's unclear why that money had to be passed through the DDA to Headwaters, the city could have just simply sent the funds directly. I don't really get or understand why that occurred. I think the comments by you, Mr. Mayor, at the 9th meeting regarding John's criticisms of Headwaters and particularly affecting outside relationships that contributed to his dismissal are now quite suspect. I really think it's mystifying to me that some of the comments that were made there, especially now with with the Headwaters thing sort of going away in any attempt to collaborate with the DDA. I think there was a significant conflict of interest on your part in the fact that when you were talking about the issues with Headwaters and the and John's effect on the relationships, I think that would have been much better if that had come from you as an attendee of the meeting and not as a board member of the meeting. If there were issues with Headwaters and John's relationship with Headwaters, you would have been much better off standing up and talking about it as a representative of Headwaters rather than sitting on the board and passing judgment for another organization's effect on his performance, in my opinion. And that, to me, is another reason why the city manager should not, or city manager should be on the board or the commission liaison, but not the mayor. So with that, I will await the next steps from the DDA board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're going to email those materials then to?
I will give you, I'm going to give you hard copies, and then I will email them as well, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Make sure that you have a copy.
Yep, thank you very much. Any comments, questions from the commission? We'll move on.
Yeah, I do have one, and I appreciate the fact, that, and this is not the first time that you've said it, that as the liaison, that it would have been a good idea to put me in that position, but I don't believe that's permissible. I appreciate your confidence in that matter, I do, but I don't believe it's permissible for me to sit on that board.
May I reply?
By all means.
It is permissible, and the DDA statute allows the chief executive officer or his or her designee from the governing body to be on the board. So if you are designated by the chief executive officer and you accept that, then you are part of the governing body and you can sit on the board.
That flies in the face of anything that I had understood previously. I'm not saying that that's incorrect, but I'm just saying that that was not my understanding up until and including this moment. But thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, Commissioner Hubusta.
Just a quick question for clarity. Do we need any sort of motion to include those on the record?
I wouldn't think so.
Go ahead, thank you.
Do we? No. All right, so we'll move on into G, business item number 1. Acting City Manager Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor.
They all look anxious in the back row.
Yeah. So the next item up is presentation of the 2027 Clean Water State Revolving Fund Phase 3. So this is Phase 3 of the wastewater treatment plant project. We have a slew of presenters on this item, but City Engineer David Boyle is going to start us off, and then they'll follow.
Evening, Dave.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Uh-oh.
Get the ladder on again.
What happened?
The presentation is in the City Commission agenda packet as well, so while IT's working to get it back up on the screen, do you need a printed copy, Dave? Or do you got it? Okay.
Got one on my notes. All right, so we're back with another SRF opportunity for funding, CWSRF. The projects that we're going to present tonight are all part of our 2023 work plan that was approved by Eagle and by the council. Just a little background on these SRF things, because the schedule usually comes into play, right? So it's fast and furious. So I just wanted to lay that out a little bit, because, just so you know what's going on. But last year at this time, we put in a letter of intent to apply for funding for our next phase, because we had 3 phases in our plan. So that went in November. We don't hear anything until about mid-September with the preliminary state plan of what they're gonna fund. At that point, we know, we have an idea what's gonna happen, but it's not an approved plan yet, because the state has to have public hearings in October. And once they get through the public hearings, then they establish the plan. So that was like in mid-October that we knew that we're gonna be offered this funding opportunity again this year. So once we find that out, then we need to do a little homework to see if we're gonna be able to do it, right? Because part of it's loan, part of it's grant. And then the other big issue that we have is we have the bond closings. And right now, we're sitting on even going to the fourth quarter bond closing, which is usually October of next year. That means that we have to sign a letter, or we have to sign the schedule with Eagle the first part of December. So we have this month, maybe the first couple weeks in December, to decide if we're gonna want to do or go ahead with the project. If you have your, I'm going to the next page here, just the phased approach that we put in the original improvements plan. The first priority of projects that we put in there, we were hoping that we were gonna be able to put all of the treatment plant upgrades in that project. But after we put that project together and bid it out, it was way over budget. And we had to cut out a lot of things, if you remember. So all of those things we kept, and with the funding that we got last year, went in a priority 2 project. So now this year we're trying, we're gonna finish most of the treatment plant project upgrades. There's still a couple of items there that we need to do. I'll get that when we get to the next slide. Another big part of our project priorities is the collection system modeling, because we have such an issue with inflow and infiltration into our system. So we're trying to find that out, because that's gonna be in our next permit that we're gonna have to make big strides to try to figure that out. The big thing is the last 2 priorities, we've closed our CSOs, which were a big action plan in our permit. So if you go to the next phased approach, we're still on the priority 1, 2, and 3. So the new funding is for priority 3, which would move ahead with the rest of the wastewater treatment plant improvements. And then we have the completion of the Power Canal Phase 2. We've had some other collection system projects that were in the plan that we thought we were gonna be able to get into these other priorities, but we've got them set aside right now, and we're gonna wait and see how our modeling comes up with our system, and then see prioritize-wise that way, and see if we can find other ways to fix those items. Just a little project history, if you go to the next one. We've been, these 3 projects now, we've been doing real well. We've been in the top 10 in the state in rankings. the first project that we did really well. We had 17.5 million in grant and 17.5 million in loan, so that was pretty unusual. Last year, we were ranked second, and we got 12% grant, 3.4 million, and 25 in loan. This year, we were ranked 7th in the state. Like I said, we put in everything that we think that we needed to get done to get the treatment plant for sure back in a good condition. So this year, we actually ended up, when we got the preliminary grant stuff, we were only at 11%, but when the final came out, we were at 13. So we got 4.6 grant and 30.5 million in loan. All right, so one bad thing or whatever, the program's gonna change next year. They've already told us that the rankings are gonna get changed, how they're gonna divvy out the money is gonna get changed, so. The way we have this set up, we were ranking high because we were closing our CSOs and some of the other ones where we were discharging raw sewage into the river. So we're gonna have those completed. And so that's not gonna, the I&I stuff will help us out, but it won't help us out completely like the CSOs did. All right, so if you go to the FYI proposed project,
That's page 5, I think.
5, and the one with the treatment plants. So we put this together just to show, the different phases that we're in, what structures we would be touching. So, and then we put the years, the dates, the years that they were built in. So, if you look at it, we have 1958 and 1986. So the 1958 buildings and facilities that we have in there were really, with the project last year and this year, are the first time we've ever done any kind of renovations with them. So in reality, we should have been 30, 40 years. So sometime in 1988, 1998, we should have done the first one. And right now, 2018 and 2038, we should be doing the second one. But we're doing it all right now. So the 86 one, we're pretty close for like 2016, 2026. So it's at its useful life end, and we're getting into it. So then my last slide is the proposed project total, all phases, and this is just kind of showing how we're spending this money. And the big thing is we're fixing the treatment plant, which really needed it. At about $88 million, we got about $11 million into the collection system, which is helping us out with our permitting. If somebody would ask, well, $88 million, why didn't you just build a new plant? But for our plant, with the capacity of our plant, it would be about $288 million to build a new plant. So I guess we're working a good thing by rehabbing it. Plus, other things would come into play there too with the new plant. Property, environmental issues, everything else, so it would probably be a big hole trying to make that happen. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to the project guys. And I don't know if you got that working.
So coming up is wastewater director Brian Masterson, and TJ is with Donahue and Associates.
Yeah, good to see everybody again. Thank you for having us. We're here to talk about what we're proposing to do in this FY26 project. Skipping over kind of the headline slide, moving into the first couple bullet points here. Similar to what we presented in previous years, we're going to focus on some work at the wastewater plant and some work in the collection system. Starting with the wastewater plant, our focuses in FY '26 are going to be in solids handling, specifically upgrades to the digester and addressing deficiencies in disinfection. From kind of an engineering standpoint, conversations with Eagle, that's where failing equipment, aged infrastructure, reliability operations, and permit concerns come into play there. To put that more in pictures on the next slide, the biggest thing we'd like to achieve this year would be improvements to the digester complex. Insufficient heating and limited mixing are a product of deteriorated equipment that we're currently trying to fix in the first two phases, and we're also limited in what we can do with mixing and heating until we address some of the concerns in this third phase project. Kind of the top center photo, this is the insulation that should be attached to the roof of the digester. Kind of like your house, if we're going to put heat into it, we want to keep the heat inside the structure. Massive panels of insulation have come loose, there's cracking, there's holes in it, water and debris start to accumulate in there, and now we're starting to grow vegetation out of the cracks in the insulated roof. The other thing holding us back on heating and mixing is the issue we have with utilizing the gas. Two of the digesters have what's called the floating cover. They should be able to move up and down as gas is produced inside the digester. That biogas or dirty methane can obviously be utilized for other resources, other needs, but right now, neither of the floating covers work at all. They have seized up completely. They don't move the way they should, and the space around the perimeter is now accumulated with debris, and again, we're growing more vegetation out of there. So when gas develops inside the digester, it doesn't really have a place to go that we want it to go, at least. Instead, it's escaping into the atmosphere. That in and of itself is not a huge problem. There are facilities that do that. The problem here is we have a system that's set up to contain and utilize that gas, and we're not. So instead of ventilating it properly, it's ventilating and burping off whenever it generates enough pressure in the system, and we're not able to reuse or do anything positive with that.
Tom was, our Eagle representative was here today, and I think that a big thing, takeaway today was using the gas and getting rid of it safely. Right now, we are not safely getting rid of it.
Correct. And that's the no gas management. The bottom photo here in the middle, the steel pipe that you see in the foreground, that's called the flare. Almost all wastewater facilities, especially those with a digester that contains gas, have a flare. That's how we can safely dispose of the gas, by lighting it on fire in a controlled manner. Instead, it's accumulating and then burping out whenever we exceed the capacity of the digester. We're also seeing just general overall deterioration beyond the insulation, the flashing. Generally, the operations of the digesters need to be improved. That's the first half of what we'd like to propose in FY '26 for the plant.
I would like to add that just a few short years ago, remember, we came and we had them all cleaned, had them emptied and cleaned. And I will say, after that, I was inside all four of those tanks, and the condition of the tanks interior-wise are in good shape. It's the exterior, the lids, the insulation, the gas equipment, but the bones of the tanks are in good shape, or they were the last time I was in there, so.
Yeah, and with our experience in digesters, I wouldn't expect that to change much in the last handful of years, so we've got an opportunity to capitalize on a lot of existing infrastructure that 10, 15 years down the road may not be there. The other half of the project would focus on disinfection. There is an existing chlorine contact tank where the chlorine, either in liquid or gas form, makes contact with the wastewater for disinfection prior to discharge into the river. There are rules of thumb in how a wastewater system should operate, and based on the flows that Brian and his team see, we would require about 15 minutes of contact time to ensure complete disinfection. Currently, the facility has 11 minutes. Somehow, through their dedication and extra efforts, we are meeting permit and we are getting the disinfection we need, but it's not what we would consider a solved example in the engineering world. It's not something we would recommend. Instead, to utilize that existing infrastructure, we would add a separate second chlorine contact tank that would give us the additional 4 minutes that we need to achieve that textbook recommended kill on the wastewater stream. So,
This one's all you.
all right, I appreciate it. The next slide is my response to what I think is probably an ingrained question. Why do we have to do another project right now? Can we wait? In complete transparency, absolutely, you could wait. I would not recommend it, and hopefully I can give you some good reasons why. The first one is inflation. We all know inflation's a problem lately. It's even worse in the water and wastewater industries. When things went up in price during COVID, they have not come back down on the wastewater world. We're still suffering from the labor shortages, the higher labor rates, the extended lead times. All of that makes projects more and more expensive. So just in simple inflation terms, there is no cheaper time to do it than now. There is also an opportunity for an economy of scale. We have a contractor on site. They were successful as the bidder on the second project. This would be a publicly bid effort. There's a high probability the same contractor would get the project. That results in a potential savings for the city as well, as we're not bringing another construction firm into town. They're already here. We're estimating somewhere in the 1.5 to 1.6 million worth of savings from that economy of scale. And then Dave touched on this as well. If we delay, future SRF funding is not guaranteed. We've seen the decrease in the allocations for grant money over the last several years. Everyone at Eagle that we talk to tells us not to expect anything to improve on that front. There is no additional funding earmarked in Washington right now. So the opportunity to get 13% debt forgiveness on a project this year is something we certainly cannot guarantee moving forward if we were to defer. So those are kind of the finance examples. The next page with the simple graph is kind of my construction and engineering approach to things. We've touched on that it's never cheaper than now, simply because of inflation. But repairs are also never cheaper than they will be now from a deterioration standpoint. So in construction, they like to use the laws of 5. If you put $1 into your system over 5 years, that will keep that system maintained. If you don't maintain it, in 5 years, it'll be $5 to repair the system. If you decide to defer that again, 5 years later, it'll be $125 to replace that system. Currently, you are somewhere between that $5 and that $125 mark. The longer we wait, the closer to $125 we get as time progresses. So that is the wastewater treatment half of what we'd like to do. Touching on the collection system, what you see is a nice color map. In blue is what we're calling Power Canal Phase 1. That work should begin in the spring of 2026. And what we have in yellow would be the next phase of that project, just to give you a graphical representation of where we're at. The next two pages get you more into the why we need to do that. The picture is from the interior of a section of the Power Canal sewer. We shouldn't see things on the outside coming in. That's an indication of this inflow and infiltration that Dave mentioned, and certainly aren't a good sign for the community. We do believe there is value in the city, or the sewer, that is remaining, so we'll be able to save the city some money there with some spot repairs and pipe lining. And to put that into a different context, on the next page, we have a section of pipe on Power Canal that is definitely collapsing. And to give you an idea of how much water we're talking about, back in April of 2025, the city put out about 3,000 gallons per resident on the water side. That's very comparable, very standard to what we see in the industry. Brian's team took in 19,000 gallons per resident. So somewhere, either you guys bought a lot of bottled water and dumped it down the drain, or all that rain and all that snow melt is ending up in the sewer and then becomes a treatment problem that we shouldn't have to deal with on a scale like this. So we would like to wrap that into the project as well and try to bring down the amount of flow that's coming in from the beginning. I will turn it over to finance now for some additional details.
All right, so up next is our Finance Director, Kristen Collins, and our incoming Finance Director, Callie Perrin.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. Every time we talk about additional debt, we take it very seriously in the Finance Department, and we take a good look at our capacity to repay that debt. We take into account all of our existing debt, and then add on some new layers. We ask our bond advisors at MFCI to run some scenarios for us, and they ran us quite a few amortization schedules for this issuance. We took a look at our debt service coverage ratio, And if you're not familiar, or for those who are not, a 1.0 shows our ability to repay the debt with our forecasting for revenues coming in and then expenses going out. If you have a 1-to-1 ratio there, when you take all the debt repayment into consideration, you're doing all right. If you come above 1.0, that's where there's a concern. So in the chart on the left-hand side, you can see our projected debt service coverage ratio over the next 10 years. So the blue line shows where we are right now with our current debt without this project. And of course, our debt service coverage ratio keeps going up because we have the capacity to borrow more. So it's showing that we have plenty to repay the current debt and extra. The other three lines are pretty much all together. We took a scenario of borrowing this full amount with the SRF that we've already been awarded, with the principal forgiveness that we've been awarded, and the SRF loan of 2% for 30 years. And we ran that scenario, and that is the red line. Pretty much right on top of that is another green line. And what that green line was is if we tried to spread it out, because my first thought is, oh, it hurts, it's too much in 1 year. Could you please spread it out between 2 years? Well, when we talked amongst ourselves and we found out the inflation rate of 20, we ran with 20%. You saw 24% in the past, but they're thinking, well, it might be 24% next year. So we divided out in two, but next year we add another 20% inflation rate. Even if we got to the principal forgiveness and the generous loan rate of 2% in year 2, 2027, it's still, the line is right on top of the red line. So it's kind of like, well, what's the use of that? So we kind of started aiming in on what's our capacity to repay the full loan that we're talking about here, that we've already got an opportunity to have. So that line shows that we're gonna have a little difficulty, not terrible, not seriously below 1, but there's a little dip below 1 in the year 2030. And what that dip means is we're gonna have to rely on our reserves. So we're gonna either use our debt service reserves, we're gonna use our capital reserves, but during that year is when we project, even with all the rates currently increasing the way they have been, that year we're gonna have a little bit of a challenge to have to rely on those reserves. So the question then comes, well, how does this impact rates? How does this impact our customers? And that's when Callie started pulling some numbers together.
So if you flip to the next slide with the orange bar chart, it shows the next 10 years projected and where water rates are going to lie with taking on this 35 million SRF, which 30 is the amount of the loan, and the principal forgiveness is about 4.5. The blue line on that graph is where we budgeted water rates to be this year. So as you see, 2026 is the same because there's no added debt this year. It looks like for the next 10 years, water rates are going to have to increase an average of 4.22% each year to be able to repay this debt. This chart is showing an average residential water bill, a typical family of 4 to 5 people who uses about 5,000 gallons of water a month. We have a bullet point on the bottom that says, because basically what Kristen and I were running with is you have the ability to make water rates whatever you want them to be. You can set the water rates at 5%, 6%, 4%. It's just going to depend on where the commission wants to see that lie. Generally, a 1% increase to water and sewer rates results in about $1 million increase in revenues. So that's a key point when looking at the repayment for debt. So just a key point, if this goes through, we're anticipating water rates in 2035 for a typical family to be $203 a month. That's what we're projecting this to be. Flipping to the next page looks at the capital reserves. So Kristen touched on the debt service reserves, which we do have some funds available to pull from. I looked at specifically the capital reserve. So this is the extra funding for capital maintenance, repairs that come up, unexpected things that need to be done, purchases. And as Kristen mentioned, to make this work, we are going to have to draw down on some of these reserves that we fund each year. Right now, they're separated, water and sewer, but we added them together because they are one one fund, and they could draw off each other. So this chart shows with no additional projects or equipment purchases between water and wastewater or sewer, they could spend $345,000 a year on all capital purchases for the next 10 years, and the rest we would have to use to fund this debt. That's a lot lower than what we have been in past years, what we funded these reserves at, but we anticipated wastewater to not need as much reserves because the plant will be a new plant. Water does have some projects coming down the line, but both directors have been aware and they know about this. But there is some concern from our end of these reserves and drawing them down and not being able to fund things for the next 10 years, a significant portion of time, and what that deferred maintenance will do. But it really depends. I mean, rates could be adjusted to what you want them to be, but we looked at if we keep them between a 4 to 5 rate increase, this could be possible if we do draw down on some of those reserves.
If we started off with, let's just say we decided we want to keep 2 million in reserve. Let's just say, you know, we're uncomfortable with having this drop to this level. So in 2030, if we did the first year, we increased the rates by 6% and then scaled it back to 4%. That would get us past this hump, and that 2 million would be in the fund. So like Callie said, you know, the rate increases, if you do them at the beginning of it, you'll have those funds on hand. I do advise we go ahead because, as TJ mentioned, it's not getting any better. The rates and the opportunity that we have right now is kind of amazing. Like Dave mentioned, the scoring that has been very positive for the city because we have met all the scoring needs. Due to the collection work, we may not meet those next year, so it's possible that principal forgiveness would not be available next year. So it does seem to me that even if we did dip below the balance in that 1 year, with the debt service coverage ratio dipping below 1 by just 0.1%, that it might be worth the gamble. Do you have any questions for us on the water rates?
Want to go to questions first, or acting city manager comments?
So just a couple comments on my end. We're not asking for any action to be taken tonight by the commission. This is informational to get this before you, to have time to digest before having to take action. I would extend an invitation if the commission wants to have a work session down at the wastewater treatment plant before this action item is coming before them. We would like to do that. We'd like to have you on site. We'd like to be able to show you what work is being done, what work is planned to be done, and then what this phase will entail. If we can't find a time that works for all of the commissioners to have a special work session, we can meet independently and give you a tour. We can do small groups of the commission that isn't quorum. But this is just to get the information before you, so you have an opportunity to review it and see where your comfort level is, because it is a big decision. It is phase 3. It's a rate increase on our ratepayers, and I want the commission to be comfortable with the decision that they're going to make.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Rubenstein.
Thank you. I can't remember off the top of my head. Do you recall after phase 2 you had presented what the water rate increases were going to be on average after that? Do you remember where that compares to the, roughly at least 4.22% you're projecting now?
We were at around 3%, and if you check the chart with the orange bars, the blue line is the line where you were in the spring of 2025. So this spring, when we set the budget, that's the line where the rates were going to be. So it's not a huge difference. It's still a similar trajectory, a little around 1% more.
Okay, thank you. And then I guess the only other comment question I have, unless I'm recalling this incorrectly, but with phase 2, I'm pretty sure we were all but guaranteed Phase 3 would not have any grants or loan forgiveness. What changed? Because I feel like that definitely, I don't know, felt like a pitch for, part of the pitch for Phase 2, but now there's.
It's like gambling, right? So, like I said, you know, last year in November, we just put in an intent. We didn't know. I mean, we ask and ask and ask if there's gonna be funding there, nobody can tell us. So, it's with any grant that we put in for, we don't know if we're gonna get it or not, so we don't know if the money's gonna be there or not. And we don't know what they're thinking each year, so.
Thank you.
But your Eagle representative said that they don't anticipate the same type of funding structure available as far as forgivable grant or loan.
Yeah, but,
Excuse me.
yeah, and actually, when they had the public hearing and stuff, they set all the new rules for next year. So it's all gonna be different next year, so.
Any other questions? Certainly, Commissioner Hubusta.
Thank you. Just for clarity's sake, so we're looking at a 1.22% increase from the previous numbers. Is that what we're stating? And I just have a comment then. And I've been against our rate increases, across the board on these projects, and I understand that there is need, and I understand there's the tough decisions that have to be made. I'm a single dad who struggles to pay his water bill, and when you see your water bill is going to increase over the next 10 years from $140 a month to $203 a month, that's scary, and we have a lot of people in our community in that same situation. And I get that, work needs to happen and things need to happen, but I think we need to be realistic about the people in our community and the struggles that they go through, and that's real. And I think we need to remember that when we're making these decisions. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Anybody else have any comments? Certainly appreciate this format, getting the information in advance so that we can digest it, as you said. And I think that we should take advantage of taking a tour. I think in talking to Brian, it's and seeing the presentation, it's clear that there's been deferred maintenance for decades at the plant, and to see that some of the areas were built in 1958 is a little bit scary. The inattention to the infrastructure is sad, and I'm happy that you're taking those efforts to move forward, and certainly it's with some urging from Eagle and from other entities. So I think I would encourage all the commissioners to take administration up on the opportunity to tour the plant and to see the condition it's in and the repairs that are necessary before we have that next meeting.
So Fridays are a good day because contractors are not on site. So if I have a show of hands Friday morning, 8 a.m., we could take a tour.
I'll be on
Anybody
this
else?
Friday.
Yeah, we can get you in. Anybody else? Okay, another time on Friday or another day, or do you want to get with me? Yep, you can get with me.
So I think it's going to be individual tours, not a published work session then, so.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, our intent would be to bring this back to the commission at the next meeting. So if we can get you on site, see what's being done, what we're looking to propose in this, just connect with me and I'll get you hooked up with a tour.
Wear a pair of boots or an older pair of shoes.
Yeah. Dress for the tour.
And some Vicks for under your nose.
Gonna show you the digesters.
All right, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good presentation. Moving on into G, business items number 2, Acting City Manager Troyer.
Item 2 is consideration to purchase a new CAT motor grader from Fab Cat. And Director Public Service Director Tyler Perrin's going to present on this.
Good evening, Tyler.
Evening. So this is a request for the street department as part of the 25-26 capital improvement process. This new grader would replace a 2002 John Deere that we do currently use full-time in the winter. It clears all of south side, the residential area. We did do a demo of a new John Deere, but the operators still prefer our CAT models. So we used our cooperative purchasing to obtain 2 quotes for a CAT model that fits our 2 current that we have. And motion to purchase it from our regional CAT supplier, Fabit CAT. This item is $9,995 over the capital budget, but with the item coming up next, with the leafer, it is over $20,000 under budget, so no budget amendment to capital equipment is necessary.
Did I see on there somewhere that there was a no date certain, but you'll have it by winter?
The supplier has this on order and they expect delivery sometime in January. So we'll still use the old one, you know, until then, but be grateful that it shows up this winter. I have an operator that would love it.
It just won't snow until January.
Yeah.
All right, any questions for Tyler on this item?
Actually, I have
Commissioner Bauer.
one for the acting city manager, and not that it really matters, it's just a question that I have. Why didn't we put the new leaf collector from MTech before this one so that we could have potentially approved something that was under budget, and then we would know we had that money to work with instead of speculating?
It's like gambling.
No, it's not like gambling. It's like building a Jenga tower is actually what it's like.
Power of suggestion, if you don't approve this one.
I had that thought to switch those, but it was too late.
All right, any other questions, comments? We have a motion to purchase a CAT motor grader. Commissioner Rubenstein.
Motion to approve the purchase of a CAT 140 15 AWD motor grader from FabCat for the purchase price of $409,995.
Support.
Motion and support, any other discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. So G, business items number 3.
Item 3 is consideration to purchase a new leaf collector from MyTech, and Public Service Director Tyler Perrin will present on this one as well.
So this is another capital equipment request for it was originally awarded in the 24-25 fiscal year carryover from last year. This one we also used our cooperative contract purchasing programs and secured 2 quotes with the selection going to MTech. It's a 25-yard capacity unit, a little bit bigger than our largest one we have now. Will effectively replace a 1992 unit and is much smaller. And this one is in stock and we could see it as soon as next week.
Except the wind's been taking care of the leaves.
Yeah, that's great for us.
Any questions for Tyler on this one? Sure, Commissioner Bassel-Rath.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve the purchase of a trailer-mounted leaf collector from MTech for the purchase price of $129,649.94.
Support.
Motion to support, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Under G, business items number 4, acting city manager Troyer.
Item 4 is West Portage Avenue winter parking collaboration. So at the last city commission meeting, we talked about the West Portage Avenue winter parking. Bless you. We held a virtual meeting with impacted users, included myself, Public Service Director Tyler Perrin, Police Chief Wes Bierlane, incoming Finance Director Callie Perrin, representatives of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, representatives from Kokosing, and the business owners along West Portage Avenue. So we had a great discussion. We brainstormed some ideas. The collaborative approach that we came back with is to increase the off-season winter parking permit from 125 to 250, designate the north side of West Portage Avenue permit parking only, provide 2-hour metered parking on the south side, and just with the note that a parker could initiate a new parking session after the 2-hour limit, and then enhance in our customer service when they're selling the permits to make users aware that there are other parking availabilities, such as the fire hall parking lot that currently has capacity. So it was a collaborative discussion. It was great discussion with the business owners and those impacted in that area during winter parking. So the recommendation before the commission would only be to increase the West Portage Avenue off-season winter parking permit from 125 per season to 250 per season.
Thank you very much, Acting City Manager, and thank you for your quick work on that. Any questions, comments from City Commission? Commissioner Rubenstein.
Just a quick comment. I got some positive feedback. Some people reached out from the discussion, so thank you.
Commissioner Boswell-Rath.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of that, I just want to say thank you for working so fast on that and collaborating with everybody. It's just great. I got some good feedback too, so thank you.
Anybody else? Commissioner Habusta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion to increase the West Portage Avenue off-season winter parking permit fee from $125 per season to $250 per season.
Support.
Motion and support. Any other discussion? All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed unanimously. So moving on into H, City Manager announcements and updates. Acting City Manager Troyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one is just to inform the public, our December 1st City Commission meeting will be hosted by Lake Superior State University, so we're excited to be back up there. The annual audit presentation will begin at 6 p.m. We'll be in the Kenneth Scholdice Library at 906 Ryan Avenue. So 6 p.m. is the annual audit presentation, followed by the 7 p.m. regular City Commission meeting, and thanks to Lake State for hosting us once again this year. And that's it.
Very good. Any questions for Acting City Manager? So we'll move on into item I, which is matters presented by the public. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make any comments at this time? You come up and state your name for the record, please.
Consider that for the future. I just had a couple quick things I wanted to say. One is that I have spent a lot of time in the last few weeks talking to a lot of people, some people on the dais maybe even, and trying to get answers, trying to understand more about the DDA and budget and money and how things are decided. And I'm not... the more questions I ask, the more confused I have gotten. So, and not to detract from anyone who's been trying to give me information, but it's complicated. And one of the big things that I think I have learned is that I knew, but I wasn't really paying attention to, is the fact that the city, you have lots of other responsibilities and decisions to make. The DDA is part of it, for sure. The downtown is part of it. But there's a whole lot more. So my interest, because I am a downtown business owner and property owner, is downtown. So when I come before you, that's what I'm going to be talking about. But I did want to acknowledge that I recognize that you have a whole lot of other things that you're dealing with. But what I wanted to offer, I guess, and some of the people I was hoping that maybe would want to attend this aren't here tonight. But Justin Nepper has agreed, and he's former DDA director. He was DDA director for quite a few years, has a vast knowledge of why we do a lot of things the way that we do, how the budgets were developed that we're using right now, how the whole parking garage situation happened. So all the rumors and all the, the maybe false information that gets circulated, Justin is willing to offer his time to answer questions. And so we've set something up for Thursday, November 20th at 6:30 at a property that we own on Eureka, at the old church that can hold a number of people. And it's open to anyone. I will do more advertising for this. I'll put it on Facebook and try to get the word out. I'd really encourage my fellow downtown property and business owners to attend this and just ask their questions and try to get information. Obviously, Justin isn't going to be able to answer questions about things that he hasn't been involved with. But there's a lot of people who have an interest in downtown who just weren't even around. Maybe they were born, but they weren't interested in downtown 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And Justin actually relishes this. He came to me and said, I have all this information. And I said, how can we get that out to the public? So anyway, I will try to get word out about that more, but I just think it's a fabulous opportunity to try to get to help people understand a little bit more and a little bit better about what the DDA's role is in this community, what it should be, what it was designed to do, and why certain things have happened the way that they have, because there's just so much misinformation. And then on another note, I've been approached by a videographer, a professional videographer, who's really interested for free in doing a really positive thing, a video, I guess it would be probably for Instagram or I don't even know, TikTok, whatever it would be, but something showcasing our thoughts about Sault Ste. Marie, downtown Sault Ste. Marie, where we'd like to see it go in a very positive light. And I'm really excited about that. We haven't really fleshed out how we're going to do that yet, but he's contacted me twice and said, are we going to do this? And so he's very excited to do it. And he does this for a living. He does it on a professional level. So whatever he produces is going to be really good, I'm sure. And I just wanted to let you know that we'll be trying to pull that together. I'm not sure what his vision is. I'll find out. But I just feel like that's really a positive, feather in our cap. It will be when it's done for downtown Sault Ste. Marie and for the city in general. Because as someone pointed out to me, the downtown is really part of the bigger picture. Sault Ste. Marie is a city. The downtown and the DDA is part of that, but we're all one community. And I'm really excited to see, number one, who shows up. I told Justin it may be me and him and 3 old ladies or something, I don't know. But and that's okay too, if that's what we have. And then we'll see how this video comes together too. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dana. Appreciate your positive comments. I'm assuming it's 6:30 p.m. and not a.m.
We could go either way. Like PM, I think is Justin's.
If you could check with the acting city manager, depending on how many people from DDA or from the city commission go, we might have an open meetings act issue. So maybe coordinate how we could post that or how that would work. So that'd be great. Thank you.
I would be thrilled if we actually had that issue, because that would mean people are actually coming.
Got to be prepared just in case. Any other audience members? Seeing none, we'll move into item J, which is matters presented by the City Commission. Commissioners, Commissioner Rubenstein.
I just wanted to say, I said it last year, but thank you again to Tony Haller for the idea to host the meeting on campus. And then an additional thank you to this year to Mark Boucher at the library and his staff, because they got to put in some extra hours to make sure everything runs smoothly. So it is duly noted and appreciated.
Good comments, thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Bauer.
Your Honor, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Support.
Motion and support to adjourn. All in favor?